um, all right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and kick it off then. We're here with Alisa Kay, and she's actually somebody who I am in a business mentoring program with for entrepreneurs, and we didn't even realize that we were in the same program. I recently connected with Alisa because she'll explain more about this, but she's actually from Ukraine, has family in Ukraine. She's living in England now. And if I have any of this wrong, Alisa, just correct me. But it's interesting that we're connecting on the podcast today, because my regular Tuesday episode that dropped 2 days ago, I actually started off the episode just saying how heavy things have felt the past couple of weeks. And, I think we can say that in multiple moments over the past few years. But I know for me personally, the war in Ukraine has really hit me hard. And I assume that for my listeners too, that's the case, because we walk around with our own empathetic hearts, right? And we can't be blind to the images that we see. And I mean, it's just a whole new world and era of war, with having this real time. I mean, I follow Ukrainian Instagram accounts. So I'm like seeing what's happening real time. We've never had that before. But also as educators and as school leaders, principals, we carry around the weight on our hearts and our heads and our shoulders of what our kids and our staff carry around too. So Alisa, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about, as much as you are comfortable sharing, about your story and your connection to what's happening in Ukraine, and we can get into kind of what we're doing with this fundraiser.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me and for sharing that. I think it's such a difficult thing to talk about to little people. And I'll get into sort of how I've been dealing with it in a second too. But, I come from a very interesting background, I would say. I am a Ukrainian born. I live in the UK. You probably can hear the British BBC, voice coming through your ears right now. Yeah. And you're like, it doesn't sound like a Ukrainian. Like, who is this lady, right? So just a little bit of background. I'm a business coach. I help service providers become in-demand coaches, essentially. And the reason I started that business was because, much like you guys probably listening, I was an educator myself. So when I finished university, I was an account manager in a tutoring agency, and I became obsessed with figuring out how can we get these kids really great results. And being Ukrainian born, I had the benefit of having Russian and having Ukrainian as a second language. And a lot of our clients were international. So we would be working with, all of these different types of families. And the reason I bring this up is because we have such a diverse community living in English-speaking countries like the US and the UK, and even in Europe, of all of these students who are currently displaced, who currently don't know how they're going to get home, whether they're Russian or Ukrainian. And I think, as much as there's this, feeling of despair and helplessness, I think it's spreading because we have so many of these kids in our communities who don't know how to talk about it, and who don't know what to say, and who don't know how to even feel. And I think that as educators with platforms, it's our job to not only look after ourselves, but also think about how can we support those students, and how can we support the families that are directly affected by this. Because, as much as people might be triggered about, why is Ukraine getting so much screen time? And, there are different wars happening around the world. And I think that's a really valid thing to say and to think. I think the reason it's getting so much screen time is because there are so many people who are directly affected by this, who, understand in the US, like gas prices are going up. Like that's a direct response to this conflict, right? To this invasion happening at this very moment. And, my story, and the reason I'm even speaking to you guys right now is because by a sheer fluke, okay, the majority of my family live in the UK, right? My mum, my stepdad, my aunts, my uncles, my grandmother, we all live in the UK, and we have done for many, many years. My dad's side of the family, they travel a lot. Like they have, my parents are divorced, very clearly, right? Stepdad. And they travel a lot. My stepbrother on his side, he lives in Europe. Like my dad travels but they all ended up in Ukraine by a sheer, I would say, fluke. I don't know why they ended up there. I don't know how, like, the timing all worked out. So it was just myself, my little 9-year-old sister in the house. I was looking after her because my mum was originally going to take her with her, and she booked the wrong dates, right? So they had to go back to Ukraine to do like a procedure for my stepdad. So they ended up over the other side of the border, and I found myself with like 10 missed voicemails on my phone, running late for the school run. Like, we're supposed to be leaving the house at 8:20, and for the first time in forever, I slept through my alarm because my sister and I were having tea with another Ukrainian woman who lives on my street. So I wake up at 8 o'clock because my little sister is running into my room and is like, oh my God, we're going to be late for school. I see a text message from my mom that says that, like, we're in the car, and it was like, that's a whole other situation. The fact that she ended up in a car with my divorced grandparents who haven't spoken to each other in 25 years. And they are driving to the capital to get biometrics so my grandmother can have a rush visa to get out of Ukraine. At that point, we didn't know that the airports were bombed. So I wake up, my stepbrother has called me. He never ever, I don't think he's ever dialed my number in all of the many years that we've known each other. I have voicemails from him. He's with his girlfriend in Barcelona. So he's, I don't know, by sheer fluke, he's not in Ukraine. He's supposed to be in Ukraine as well. Like, he was the only one that was supposed to be there at the moment in time, and everyone else sort of ended up there. I'm calling my dad and telling him, like, pack your things. You have to get out of Kiev because they've been living under where it's currently occupied by Russians. And he's like, you're stressed. Like, why are you stressing out? And I'm like, I'm stressing out because things are getting bombed. Like, you need to get on with the things. And also trying to keep it together for my little sister who doesn't know what's happening. And yeah. I'm like, oh my God, I can't be crying and sobbing because I'm going to freak this 9-year-old angel out. So all that to say is that, like, much like many people, I wasn't really aware of what's going on until that very moment. And I found myself with this feeling of, oh my God, I don't know what to do. There is nothing I can do to help anyone who I really love. I don't know how to help my stepbrother who's in Barcelona with his girlfriend, who doesn't have a home to go back to. I don't know how to help my dad out because it's martial law. He can't get out. I don't know how to help my mom out because she doesn't have a visa for her mother. And I have to keep it together because my little sister can't be freaking out that she might never see her parents again. And, like, oh my God, is there even a will? You know what I think? Oh my goodness. The first thing my mom said to me when I met her at the UK border was, I have to write a will. You know, and we have to figure out the paperwork for the house.
The things you think about, right? Now, yeah. was this on like the 24th when this is all started? Wow.
This is all day. Well, this morning of day one, and we have like 15 minutes to leave the house. So I'm like trying not to cry, trying to do the things. And then I do the school run and everyone's asking me like, oh, what's happening? You know, how is everyone? And I'm like, I don't know how everyone is. I just know that my grandparents who haven't spoken for 25 plus years are come together. I can imagine how awkward it is for my mom.
That's when you know it's serious.
That's when you know, like, I didn't need to look at the news to know that World War III had literally started. That was the only way that those two individuals would ever get into a car together, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, all jokes aside, to give you a little update, my father's family is still on the other side of the border, as is my stepfather, who wasn't allowed to leave. My mom and my grandmother made it out 56 hours later.
Wow.
The British helped them because my grandmother still didn't have a visa. She now does. The British government held them at the border for 8 hours, but thankfully they let my grandmother go in the end. So she's here. She's safe. She's finally stopped crying. My mom is back too. She's also safe. I think she lost like 10 kilos or 11 kilos in like 4 days, essentially. And it's been 6 days since they've been home. So all of this to say is that while this was all happening, I was overwhelmed with this feeling of there is nothing I can do. I can, I was calling the embassy all the time and trying to figure out a way for them to get out. And there's like really terrible support for British nationals on actually all nationals on Ukrainian soil. Every single embassy is like, well, try and get out, and there is not really a lot of support. And I had this thought and this feeling of, I'm really lucky. I have money. My business makes enough. Like I'm financially secure. My parents, my dad's side of the family, they're lucky. He has a car. He can get, he drove 3 families out of there. Wow. My mom, my stepfather, we're really in a great financial situation where, like, I wouldn't say that we're like, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry rich, like let's live in the Hollywood Hills. But I would say that, like, we are a middle-class, normal working family. We have the means to get a car, to sustain ourselves, to file for documents, to pay someone to drive, to drive them to the border. And so many people don't. And I was stuck with this feeling of, oh my God, my best friend doesn't have a way to get out. Her bank card is frozen. She doesn't have another bank card. Like, I need to help her somehow. I was stuck with this feeling of, what about all of the people who were sent home? Like, literally, I'm not going to tell this horrific story because I just don't think there's any room for it really here in this conversation. But there are so many horrific cases of women and men who were, older, who were sent home after, like, amputated limbs, because they needed the space for soldiers and for basically the deceased. And I was listening to all of these things, and I had this feeling of, there has to be something that I can do, and there has to be some way that I can. I mean, the word for it that we used yesterday was like lead, but I wasn't really looking at it as leading. I was looking at it as like, I've been saying all of my life, I started my business to create some change in the world. Here is a thing that is affecting me personally, and I can see, all of these fake charities being, popped up, and I know how it works, that all of the big doctors, drive Land Rovers and have houses in Switzerland, right? You don't want the money that you're donating to go to the wrong people. You want the money to go to the people that like and trust. It's like business, right?
Yeah.
And I had this just overwhelming fear of, oh my God, what if my family doesn't get back? Oh my God, how can I navigate that and still be an insane human being who's looking after another mini human being?
Yeah.
And then an overwhelming feeling of, okay, well, I've been saying I want to create change. I've been saying that, like, all of my life that I'm here to impact people. Like, I, even have a pop-up group that I lead is called the Impact Makers, or it used to be. So I was like, okay, the business that I want to have, my values, part of that is impact. Part of that is helping people figure out how to use social media to make more money. Well, why do we want to make more money? Money isn't really a great motivator for most people. It's what you can do with that money. Yeah. And it would have been easier probably to just do a little launch of my product and then donate a bit of it off and or even donate 100% of that launch. But I really felt like, as a community, I kept seeing everyone on Facebook and Instagram and on all these places being like, well, what can I do? But what can I do? But who do I support? But, I'm sending you prayers, but I don't know what to do beyond that.
Yes.
And I felt this deep desire within me to tell these people what they can do. And I didn't want it to be like, well, buy my program because 100% of the proceeds are going to be donated. Like, that didn't feel good to me. But what I remembered was that, people do these bundles all the time. People do these little product things that they launch. And then, I don't know, I mean, usually it's a list building exercise. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit of a, can we swear on this podcast? I don't know.
Yeah,
how. Okay, it's a bit of a wank fest as far as I'm concerned. In that, we're all blonde and pretty and have $1,000 smiles. And what we really want to do is we want to pool resources together so that your people on your list can become people on my list. And I really didn't want that to be this. In my FAQs, I was like, if this is a list building exercise for you, we are not sharing emails, right?
Yeah.
To your training, you cannot just charge them what you want, you know what I mean? All of these different filters that I had to think through eventually. So yeah, the bundle came about because my boyfriend, bless him, or I say boyfriend, we've been together forever. My partner came down here from our house, because we live by the sea. So it's like 2.5 hours away from this house where I am right now, my mom's place. He came down and he was just like, you need to go have a bath, like go and do some tapping, do some EFT, like go and, check in with your mastermind, do the things, relax. And I was like, I can't relax. I just feel,
Yeah, of
I was
course.
spontaneously bursting into tears like most people, right, over those first 2-3 days. And while I was in the bath, I had this idea. I was like, okay, I know bundles. I don't know why this kept flashing in my mind. Bundles. Like there has to be a way that I can get a few people together. And I thought it might be like, maximum 10 people. Maximum, it'll be a few of my clients who are rock stars, maybe some people that I know. The mentorship that we're in, like the guy that leads it, he's always like, he's very anti-political. I was like, he's never going to say yes to this. So like, he's out. But like maybe other people that I've been in mentorships with might say yes, right? Cut to a week later, we have 50 plus contributors. This thing is, has taken on a life of its own. And what started as this idea of, okay, well, I need to somehow navigate through these next week or so of, I'm not sure what's going to happen to my family, to really using my skill set for good, to really sort of utilizing what I've learned so far in the marketing world to bring a little piece of change to the table.
I mean, Alisa, like you are, my husband and I, we talk about this really nonstop. And we talk about how strong Ukrainians are and how brave and how inspiring it is. And look at what you just did. So, I mean, you through your own, you have family who's in Kiev right now, and you're like, how can I help? How can I help everybody? How can I bring everybody together? And how can I help raise money in the right ways to help people who are affected? That's incredible. You're caring for your younger sister. I mean, to look at you and to know that this is what you're doing real time right now is absolutely inspiring, and it's mind blowing. Yeah,
that means a lot, honestly. And I think that here is where it didn't come from, like, I didn't sit in my bath and think, how can I be an inspiring individual to help all these people?
I know.
I sat there and I was like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to help. And all of these, there's just this overwhelming sense of guilt where you're at home and you're like safe and you're not being bombed. And that's a sentence that I never thought I would say.
Yeah.
And, like we're in these like masterminds and courses and programs, and all of these people have like connections and networks. And I just really wanted to somehow figure out a way to tap into that and figure out a way for all of us to actually use our businesses for good. Because I hear it like, everyone say, well, I want impact, I want freedom, I want this, I want that. And to me, I don't know about you, but over COVID, I found it like that whole experience really helpless, right? I was at home and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I remember feeling that way. And I just consciously said to myself, this is not going to be that situation. I'm not going to sit at home and feel helpless and not know what to do to help people. I'm going to just turn on my resourcefulness up to 100 and figure out a way to, first of all, help myself navigate through this and focus, like sort of take my mind off everything that was happening.
Yeah.
Because like I couldn't just sit in my sofa and cry, for 3 hours because I had like 50 people to contact,
Yeah. Right. Well, I think it would be a good, let's take a step back for a second, and we will be where I was in June of 2021. So 9 months ago. Can you explain to our listeners what a bundle is? Because I can tell you that as a brand new entrepreneur, right? Which by the way, I also never ever in a million years thought I would be an entrepreneur. I didn't think I had that in me or a desire to do it or any, but you're right. It was the desire to make an impact, and to figure out how I could make that impact the most directly and in the biggest way is what brought me into my journey as an entrepreneur. However, I am still learning all of the different, like, all of the different terms and phrases and all of that. And I think a lot of my listeners probably hear this concept of a bundle and they don't know what that means.
Sure. Well, so welcome to the cult of marketing.
Yeah.
The dictionary. I actually do have a dictionary somewhere. If it might not be today that we link this dictionary, but I promise you, I will get it to your email list. It could be like an exclusive thing. Let's sign up, and maybe I'll throw it into the bundle too, like the dictionary, the 8% of marketing terms. But essentially, a bundle is that's what it sounds like. It's a collection of different digital products. So we're talking like things like swipe files, like what you say on your stories, what you say on your, Facebook profile, things like programs. So my spellbinding content program that teaches you the A to Z of writing copy. Then things like, what else is in there? I'm drawing a blank, but different programs from spirituality, like manifest, your dream life, to intuition, to like how to lose weight. We have such an eclectic, collection of different things, to like speak with power. How can you leverage podcasts, right? To build your own audience. And I'm trying to think of other things that are in there, like masterclasses, different. It's a variety of different resources that entrepreneurs like myself and Michaela have brought together. And, if you purchase those products individually outright, it would cost you over $5,000. But as part of this, donation fundraiser, you pay a one-off donation of $97 or more if you choose, right? You can donate more if you like. There is a button on the checkout page for that. And you get all of those products for a limited time. So like my product is unlimited. You can have access to it for, I don't want to say forever and ever on air, but like a limited amount of time, for as long as I offer it. You will have it and all of the updates. Other people have put in like membership. So I'm really a massive fan of it's a therapy called EFT tapping. And it's super, popular. It actually originated post the Vietnam War, where they were trying to figure out how to help soldiers who were experiencing really bad PTSD, how to calm their nervous systems down. So I'm in this membership with a woman called Gala, and we tap every Sunday. And that's how I got into tapping, because I really like this pink-haired lady, and she's offering a whole year in this membership. And it's sort of a mindset tool that is becoming a lot more popular, particularly for children. So if you're in a space where you're trying to figure out how to calm down, the nervous systems of specific kids, I would really recommend looking into EFT, because it is a proven therapy that really helps. So that's in the bundle as well. It's an eclectic variety of different products.
It is. So, I mean, and just to build on that a little bit, from somebody who, honestly, I entered into, the program Business by Design and then Next Level, where we've connected, but didn't realize we were connecting through that. But now we know, and hopefully we get to meet at the end of the month in person. But I had absolutely no idea. I had an idea and a vision, but none of the how to. And so I think probably a lot of people listening are in that same boat, where they might have an idea or a vision for whatever it might be, right? It might be a product. I know I have a friend who doesn't do digital products, but he loves 3D printing. And so he bought himself a 3D printer, I'm going to say maybe 5-7 years ago. He now has 28, I think, 3D printers, and he has a full-fledged 3D printing business where he can almost support himself just off of his 3D printing business. So he had a vision for it. He had ideas, and then he figured out along the way how to market and how to get his product to people. And it just takes care of itself, because he just gets recommended. So there are people, and he's a assistant principal right now, but when he started this, he was a teacher. There are a lot of teachers, educators who want to have a second source of income, or maybe have these big dreams for an entrepreneurial journey that they want to start, and don't know where to start and don't know how to start. And I can say this about the bundle, because actually I purchased it today, because to be completely honest, Alisa, all I knew when you reached out on Facebook to our group, our networking group, I didn't know you, right? I just knew like you shared a tiny bit of your story, and I saw your story, that there was going to be a way to help, and and the call to action, which was essentially like, can you donate your product? And I was like, I'm in this group of people that have highly successful businesses, and they're doing things like that are so much bigger than what I'm doing with my online course in like classroom management. And even if nobody is interested in it, maybe if one person is, I can at least contribute to the bundle and like that they can have lifetime free access. And only when I purchased the bundle today for $97 and then got my access to it, I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? This is literally like a beginner's guide of dreams. I mean, it has everything. There are how to start and market and sell your first digital course. I'm like, oh, that's great. How to de-stress with the tapping, like everything, your copy. There are 50 courses, 50 products, online products, just like that. So it's like, I get all this for $97. So I'm glad I'm helping. I'm not the cause, but also I am getting so much in return for this, because there are places where I get stuck, and now I have all of these resources from like the leading creators in the industry who have all said, yes, we want to contribute and donate our product so that people will purchase this for $97, and the money can go towards helping those who are affected by what the invasion of Ukraine and what's happening in the crisis. And, I'm amazed. Where are we at right now? What was your goal, and where are we right now?
So this is the cardinal sin, okay? And this is going on air. I had no goal. I was doing it was a LinkedIn interview yesterday. And, the girl asked me like, okay, well, what was different about this project? And I was like, because usually I've run launches before with people. Like I've written sales copy for people. After my tutoring business, I was trying to figure out how to automate it and how to design it so that I didn't have to be teaching so much one-to-one.
Right.
I think what made me a great tutor is that I'm not particularly like, obviously I was attached to my students, but like, I don't have this story of like, I wanted to save all of the children of the world and my heart was just so big. It was just a really great earning opportunity for me to be teaching kids, and I had a skill set for it. And, I was trying to figure out, how do I automate this business and basically create this methodology so that other teachers who actually loved teaching, right? I love what I do now, but I didn't necessarily love teaching little kids at the time. So the reason I'm giving you this background is because when I got into the marketing world, I was like, oh, this makes sense to me. Like targets, how many people do we need to, do we want? Like how much money do we want to make? Let's reverse engineer the things. And even in my coaching, that's where we always start. We start with, okay, well, what's your freedom number? Like what would you like to make in order to replace your 9-to-5? Or what would you like to make in order to, take your kids to Disneyland every quarter, whatever it may be.
Yep.
So I had no goal with this launch. I was just like, okay, if we make 10K, it will be great. If we make 20, my mind will be blown, because I really wanted to do, it's like a $97 product, like I usually sell high ticket things. So
yeah.
For me, it was like, okay, if we make 20K, like I don't know how many even customers that will be, a $97 product, like that would be pretty cool. Then to cut to, we are 4 days in, we're at $17,000 right now. I think it's actually 18 because I'm watching the Stripe notifications come up as we talk, right? And we've just had 7 minutes ago, 13 minutes ago, 31 minutes ago, 4 extra sales while we've been on here. So that's $400 extra, whatever. So we're at 18, I think, at this point in time.
That's amazing. I also apologize for my dogs in the background. Of course, they decided to bark extra during this podcast, but my listeners know it's expected. They're so excited for this. Listen, I can't tell you. First of all, I'll set a goal. I think that we need to. I'll say 50. Let's get to 50. How much longer do we have in the launch?
We have until the end of next week.
Okay.
Sunday, the 20th. Cart closes the 20th of March.
Okay. So first of all, fundraising, I may not have the entrepreneurial lingo down completely, and I may still be learning. I'm launching my membership 2 weeks from today, actually. And yeah, I'm like, wait, what do I do again? What's my name? But when it comes to fundraising for like causes that are deeply personal, or, you know, that will help other people, that is my wheelhouse. I'm so passionate about it. And I am going to put this out everywhere. I hope all of my listeners also promote and spread this. I'm going to put, it's an easy link right in the podcast notes, so that anybody who's listening right now, actually, for anybody who might be driving and listening, can you tell them what the link is to go to click on the bundle?
Sure, it's www.alisa.kay.com/act louder.
Act louder. Okay, so I'm linking that obviously in the episode notes. It's going to be one of the only things that is linked there. So just go right to the episode notes and click that. And then when I put it out on social, it'll also have the link. We're at 17 right now, 18. We've got another 8 days to do this?
10 days.
9 days? 10 days? Oh,
10 days.
10 days. Listen, I'm calling it right now. We are surpassing easily 50,000. Okay? Easily. That's what we're doing.
Here's my call to action to all of your audience. The power of this, and the reason I called it Act Louder fundraiser, like the Act Louder for Ukraine fundraiser, is because I really believe that in us spreading the word, and actually putting our money where our mouth is. Like, let's stop talking about how sad and depressing everything is, and let's step out of that feeling of hopelessness, and let's actually enact some change. Because I believe, I've had people who I used to work in retail with, right? When I was like a teeny weeny and I just turned 17 and I had my first job, like those women bought the bundle. They're not entrepreneurial at all. They're like, and I was like, wait, is this like Veronica? What's she doing on my list? And I reached out to her, I was like, wow, I saw you were doing this thing. So the point here being is that you as an individual have so much power. If you know a business owner who this bundle could help, it really is an A to Z of anything that you could possibly need to start your business and to really make some serious money. Because really, as a business coach, I'm passionate about helping people make more money, not because I want to sit on a throne of money and, sleep. And I joke about this. I'm like, I want to sleep on a gold-plated bed. Yeah. I think the reason I talk about money so much with my audience is because I think money gives you options. And the thing that these people need, who are on the ground and who are running and who don't have, who literally had to leave their clothes so that they could take their cats and dogs with them.
Those images. Yeah, they do. They do. So just one final clarification. This, donating $97 gives anybody who's clicked on your link and donates or purchases this product for $97, the product that you're getting, guys, is literally 50 different products all wrapped up into one. So, and I can tell you, it's a game changer. Whether or not you're starting an entrepreneurial journey, maybe you're stressed out and you just want to learn a tapping method. So who isn't stressed out right now? Who isn't anxious? I know my anxiety has been through the roof lately. And so I keep hearing about tapping, and I actually missed that it was in there. I'm going to go back in right now and I'm going to look up the tapping method. Yeah. Well, no, yeah. And yes. So honestly, there isn't one person who can't benefit. So you're donating, you're getting something back, you're supporting those efforts in Ukraine, and you're going to learn a lot and have access to a lot of helpful information. Alisa, I am in awe of your strength. I'm in awe of your generosity with your time and your ability to bring so many people together around this cause. And honestly, I've been frustrated since the very first day of the invasion when people say our hearts and prayers, because I'm like, and thoughts and prayers, I'm like, those aren't enough. We need more.
Yeah, he started on my TED talk on prayers.
Please, I gave a mini TED talk on YouTube. I don't even know I mean, not YouTube, Facebook. I mean, last week I was like, I have to say something and people need to listen. Yeah, I just, I was like, the thoughts and prayers and hearts and all of that, they're not enough. Action needs to be taken. Thank you for giving us a way you've given us such a gift to be able to take action in a meaningful way and support you and your family members who are there right now in Kiev. Like we know what's happening there. That's scary to me. And my heart goes out to you. And also my money goes to the cause, and anything else that we can do along the right way, please reach out to me. I will constantly push that out to everybody I know. And like I said, I'm calling it right now. We're going beyond the 50.
Oh, I just got chills. I really do hope that we do raise that much money. And I think that, for me, I feel super privileged in that I'm safe. My family is in a relatively safe area. They, luckily escaped. And just to be very clear, I'm not raising this money for myself. I'm raising this money
I know.
for
Yeah, I know.
Hospitals, for, for two hospitals that I personally know. I have people who work in said hospitals who are like family friends who are there as, the general surgeon plus, whatever it may be, right? And we're raising money specifically for refugees who are displaced. But I just really want to make that clarification because 100% of the proceeds are going to go. We're not like, we all donated our time. We had an amazing, 6 people step up and help me with this project totally for free. We're not like taking salaries. It's not going to be like, I don't know, shady business. Mm-hmm. We're not going to Anna Delvey this situation. And the reason I clarify that is because one of the reasons that this project came to be was because I knew that, I wanted to donate and I wanted to find a cause that I could get behind. And I just didn't know who to go to and how to help and how to fundraise that money for the right causes. And I didn't want it to just be me. I wanted it to be a collective. And I think that if you've been feeling helpless or you don't know what to do or frustrated and overwhelmed, if this calls to you, then please join our launch squad. Even if you, for whatever reason, can't donate $97 right now, even sending the link to someone you may know is a worthwhile endeavor. Yeah. Send them this episode, let them listen and decide for themselves, because you as an individual, you have the power and the voice and the action to do something, whether it's calling up your, whatever local representative, mm-hmm. whether it's sending this link to people that you know and love and trust, or whether it's just even sharing this episode. We all have the power to act.
We do. You are absolutely correct. We have the power to act for free, and we have the power to make the donation. So Alisa, thank you so much. I know you have so much to do and so much you're responsible for right now. I can't wait to hopefully meet you at the end of March. And also let me know when we hit 50, because it's going to be in a couple days. All right. All right, Alisa, stay well.
Thank you so much.